Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at HIMS and HERS health. It is time for another update, and today we will be discussing about the potential 5-wave move that has formed in this area to the upside, as well as the relevant resistance levels that we still need to watch out for, since we haven't necessarily broken the most important one just yet. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here on this chart, we are tracking an overall uptrend where we expect to form a 5-wave move to the upside, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th. But this would be expected to be formed within a leading diagonal pattern, meaning that within each of the subwaves to the upside we are looking, for example, here for an ABC pattern in a wave 1, ABC pattern in a wave 2, ABC pattern in a wave 3, and so on for the 4th and the 5th. Now, so far we are in the 3rd wave to the upside, where we are towards the latest stages of this movement. Within this interpretation, we are tracking here an A wave up, B wave down, and in the wave C, we have a wave 1, 2, 3, and 4th complete, and we are looking for the 5th wave to the upside. This scenario remains available to us as long as we hold here above the $25.7 level, but honestly, if we actually break here the small time frame area of support, the $30.2 level, it would already be a great warning sign that this structure is overall not going to work. Now, on this chart, I do also have even more bullish and even some more bearish interpretations, but at this point, until we get further evidence, this is probably my preferred scenario to be tracking, and this is what we will be focusing on. Now, within this fifth wave to the upside, we have already formed the A wave up. And not only so, not in any way, we actually managed to form a 5-wave move to the upside within this structure. It is within a leading diagonal. That is not a problem, but it provides us a higher reliability, a higher probability scenario that after the 3-wave correction has bottomed within this area of support, we can look for an additional 5-wave move to the upside. Now, you may even be thinking, wait, why are we tracking here a 3-wave move within the wave 3? Well, it is because within this larger wave C of the larger wave 3, we are tracking an ending diagonal, yeah? We could have even tracked an overall impulse on this chart, but we have failed to extend directly higher here, where this clearly can only be tracked as a 3-wave pattern. So yeah, it could work out that this structure is something like a larger ABC in the end, but the high probability scenario is only available to us as long as we hold here, again, the $30 level. If we break that, it is highly likely that this will no longer be a reliable chart for us to track, and it would be preferred actually to sit on the sidelines until we get further evidence of something more clear going on, of something of higher clarity. Now, within this area, we have been looking, and we were able to be tracking this area of support ever since we formed here this local top within the wave A. Yeah, we have been looking for this exact area of support ever since we had formed here the wave A top. But since we formed a likely 5-wave move to the downside within this initial push, yeah, possibly even an impulse could be considered in this area, but since we formed a 5-wave structure, we were looking with high probability that after the correction here in the wave 2, or not in the wave 2, in the wave B, we were expecting an additional 5-wave move to the downside here in the wave C. And as you may notice, quite perfectly, we have gotten pushed back, we got rejected by the resistance area at the 78.6% retracement perfectly, yeah? We have managed to get a couple of weeks above this area of resistance, but nothing too significant, and surely so, we managed to follow through for our scenario, for our expectations, and we dropped an additional 50%. Now, within this structure to the downside, we are currently tracking it as a 5-wave move down, and it is complete. It has been complete since the previous video. We were looking for possible extensions, but we had enough waves in the previous video that we were able to track this wave C to the downside as a full 5-wave structure. And within this interpretation, I have to say, the count is a bit unlikely due to the fact of the extension within this 5th wave, and I am watching for possible additional extensions lower, but we do have the possibility of tracking this movement to the downside as an impulse within the wave C, where we have here an internal tiny 1-2 setup, a 3rd wave down, 4th wave up, and then a fifth wave unfolding in this area. And in this wave 5, as I was saying, we were looking for possible extensions further, but we were here already in our fifth wave to the downside, and we had the possibility of completion. We were just tracking this area of resistance to tell us when an extension lower directly within this wave C would become unlikely. Yeah, this would be this would be within the fifth wave, not within the wave C. And in that scenario, since we have broken above the resistance, we don't really need to track this internal structure of the fifth wave to the downside anymore, because yeah, we have the signal that this movement down has come to an end. Yeah, we had the signal after breaking above the resistance levels that this internal structure is most likely done. And we still have, however, this area of resistance in white, and this is to represent the possibility of a different type of pattern going on to the downside overall here. Now, even within this pattern, we can still expect to form a bottom within this area, but it would be tracking a sort of a different pattern. Yeah, it would be, instead of an impulse forming to the downside or even a 5-wave move, it would be really an ABC structure, where in the wave C we have here a 1-2 setup, a third wave down, and we are now looking for the fourth wave correction, where again, as long as we hold here below the 61.8% retracement, the $41.7 level, there still is a threat that this movement to the downside, this wave C in white, could extend. And actually, let me even add here this idea to the chart to make it more clear. Yeah, we can be tracking this in the white interpretation, a possible extension of this structure to the downside. Now, it isn't necessarily a highly preferred scenario, because we do have the 5-wave structure within the wave C, we do have a full count, and we don't need any additional waves to the downside. Yeah, and in that case, we can even start looking for our initial 5-wave move to the upside, which in this case may be complete, but at this point I have no signal that we aren't going to extend any higher. And I realize now I have forgotten to provide you, once again, the ideal target for the larger time frame wave C. Yeah, this last move to the upside that we are tracking in the fifth wave. I have provided you this in the previous videos, and I would actually like to provide it to you once more, just to put some context in here. And we are looking here for an ideal target at the 100% extension of the wave A, which is around the $97 level. Yeah, this is the ideal target. It doesn't need to get there, and it doesn't need to stop there. I tell you this all the time, but it is generally, it is a general level the wave C is drawn towards. And within the wave C also, we are again expecting to form a 5-wave move, either within a diagonal pattern, within an impulse, but it must be a 5-wave. It could be either way. Now, here to wrap it up, to sum it up, here in the very, very short time frame, we are looking at a nano possible 5-wave move to the upside complete, where this would be a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave to the upside in this area. I may have actually drawn that not so nicely, but the main point is that this structure could already be done and ready for a 1-2 setup. Within this time frame, actually, I have even other interpretations. I could actually consider this a 1-2 third, fourth, and the fifth as well complete. Yeah, it might actually look even nicer, where this could have been the wave 2 bottom, and then this could actually already be the third wave to the upside. But there is no guarantee for this, and I want you to be prepared for the possibility of failure. Yeah, for the possibility of not extending any higher from this level, and what to watch out for in case you may be looking for support, in case you may be thinking, wait, are we here in the top of the wave 4? Are we looking for the fifth wave to the downside? Well, again, not necessarily, because I could easily consider this a 1, 2, 3, fourth, and the fifth already formed. Yeah, so I could be looking within this area at a possible 1-2 setup, where we should be preparing ourselves for the third wave to the upside. And you may be thinking, well, in that case, why are we even tracking this area of support if we are looking for the wave 3 after the wave 2 correction? And yeah, that may be a valid point, but we need to consider that, for example, here on the larger time frame, we have an A wave up. It is a 5-wave move, and we are looking for another move to the upside, but it is not a wave 3. It is a wave C, and once this is done, we expect a deeper correction. We expect a larger retracement. Well, the same thing could happen here internally within this wave 4 in white, where we could form an ABC structure and then continue to the downside and form this fifth wave, maybe even get here to the 78.6% retracement before we complete the larger pattern to the downside, the larger correction. Now, we don't know what will happen, but we can track this likely area of support, yeah, between the $36.4 all the way down to the $34 level for a reversal to the upside, because even within the white scenario, for me, it is rather likely than not that if we have formed here a local top and we retrace into this area of support, it is rather likely than not that we will extend higher even within this white scenario. Now, again, this is if we form a top locally here, yeah, within the short time frame. If we extend, for example, and consider this an A wave up, a B wave down, and then this a C wave up, well, I would already have a 3-wave move to the upside. I could already consider this 4th wave complete. I'm not going to extend this area of support and consider or extend this wave 1 to any of the levels. Yeah, if we extend out of proportions within this structure, we have to use our intuition to determine what the structure, or rather the market sentiment within the structure, is telling us that the pattern is, or what pattern is forming within that structure. And yeah, basically from this time frame perspective, for support we have here the yellow area, and for resistance we have the white area up to the $41.7. Then we can zoom here into the micro time frame, and I could tell you about the structure that could be forming within this area, but as a general guideline, I would really only be looking here for the 50% retracement within this area. It could still work out even if it fell below the $38.3 level, but I'm telling you, it is on the 5-minute time frame, and even within the pre-market trading, yeah, it might fall below it. It might open way below and then still work out to the upside within a different pattern, within a diagonal pattern. So this is just a small guideline to tell you that, yeah, this is likely not going to form into a direct impulse to the upside within this area if we fall here below the $38.3 level. But we will have to use our intuition as well for this area, because it is on a very, very fragile time frame, yeah, basically nearly as small as it comes, and it is not really reliable for telling the true market sentiment, which is why it is generally preferred to zoom out. Now, for this small time frame, you have the areas of support, you have the areas of resistance, and from a larger time frame perspective, if we are to still push lower here within the white scenario, we do still have some room in the area of support. And again, as long as we hold here the 78.6% retracement at the $30 level, we are still looking for an additional high to the upside in a 5th wave with high likelihood, yeah? And for a shift in this interpretation, I would need to see a sustained break below the 78.6% retracement, yeah? Not just a couple of weeks below it. We have seen the example where we have wicked above this area. Even here on the 4-hour time frame, we have wicked above the area twice, but still followed through to the downside afterwards according to our expectations. But we need to see the evidence. We need to see a sustained break for a signal that this structure is not going to work, which is not the case anymore. In fact, this looks rather positive at the moment. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.